I'm Jo Hadley. This is my podcast, Being a Human Lighthouse. What do I mean by being a human lighthouse? Well, we can only change ourselves, and we can't change others. I've been very influenced by the Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see. And also, as I delve deeper into like mind-body connection, what is true health, how true health is also associated with, living in our optimal alignment. What is our optimal alignment, or what is true health? It's both accessing the best version of who we are and the optimal version of who we are. With true health and a lot of the healing techniques I've learned, the underlying assumption is, and even in counseling, it's assume that the person has all the resources. They've got their own inner wisdom, and we want to tap into their inner wisdom, not tell them what to do. So every technique I've been learning for the last 10 years has this same premise that we all have our own inner essence, inner wisdom, own insight. Just sometimes we need other people to help us access it properly. It's really easy to cover it up and not be able to listen to it or see it because we've got lots of old programming and patterns that we've got usually from childhood, from ancestral or generalized community trauma, just faulty beliefs that have been handed down or we've picked up just in our environment. All these things block our ability to access our own true wisdom. Often these coping strategies and mechanisms were really good to start with. When you're a child and can't think for yourself, sometimes these coping strategies are the best way to get you through. But now they're creating issues in your life, or the fundamental beliefs that you've had are creating not only issues with your health, but also maybe with relationships and work and a whole lot of other aspects. Everything is all interrelated. Once you start to work on one thing, you'll often find everything else changes as well. It happens with health that sometimes people just change their diet and everything else changes. Or exercise. It can just be one thing snowballing into everything else, or sometimes you might just need bits and pieces everywhere. I'm really passionate about how our consciousness and our intention changes health, and just how interesting we are in a mind-body perspective. We're biochemical, but we're bioelectrical. We're not just physical. We actually are a series of electromagnetic waves and fields that are all interacting within our own bodies, but also interacting with everyone else. And sometimes this sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's actually science. You can't even rub your hands together. That's just the electromagnetic fields of the atoms creating heat or sound, which then creates infrared light, and our cells communicate in infrared light. We are beings of light because our cells love infrared light. Probably why you find all these infrared saunas around now, because that light is what our cells use. And rubbing our hands together, not touching anything, it's the magnetic fields creating sound, creating light. It's very interesting when you get to the physics and the subatomic level of it all. What I have worked on a lot and have been really interested in is just how the nervous system needs to be in balance for all these other things to really take hold. You usually need to get that nervous system regulated. And what does that mean? You've got to just get it out of your fight, flight, or freeze, or your chronic stress reaction. And most of us in the world these days are living from a chronic stress state. People know they are, and they don't understand the implications it has for their health long term. I mean, people laugh, or doctors laugh, if they just say stress causes. No, it may not necessarily cause a problem, but it changes your biochemistry, the bioelectricity. And over a long period of time, depending on what your genetic or other predispositions are, different illnesses can occur. Many things affect the nervous system. It can be diet, can be exercise, can be as simple as breath work. I'm also passionate about how our traumas and patterns and programming, these faulty programs get trapped in our cells as well, and they can influence how the nervous system communicates and if we're in chronic stress or not. I know I had been meditating and doing a lot of work, inwards work, doing a lot of inner healing work, and I've got a lot of improvement. But when I was running long distances and running marathons, I noticed my resting heart rate level was good, but was a little bit higher than some people's, which is okay. I didn't think it was a problem. Sometimes we're all different, but it's interesting. I did realize that even when I was doing a lot of marathon running, I knew that there was still a lot of chronic fight or flight going on in my body. And I was always curious about, what's going on? I do all my meditation. I eat really well. I exercise. I do tick all the boxes. But still there was something there. So it wasn't until I started getting interested in some of the new, I'll say, trauma therapies, or even just how the body stores unprocessed emotions. And I realized, wow, I've done a lot of work. There's still a lot of stuff stuck inside my body. And it's really interesting because I have done a year's course in compassion inquiry course inspired by Dr. Gabor Mate, like a trauma and addiction expert. That's an amazing technique that helps you release and sit with these different emotions in your body, and to, as you in a safe space witness them, they transform, which complements the work that I'd already learned in my meditation training, and also by reading Dr. David Hawkins' work, where he gives tips on just about everything, in his opinion, was based on how we react to these emotions in our body. And if we could learn to sit with the emotions and transform it into inner peace, everything else resolves. So all these practices often have a very similar underlying current. And I was applying all of them. Still, I knew from how my body reacted when I was doing marathon running, and how, if I did marathons, a whole lot of extra stresses and anxieties used to appear, which I found very interesting. And as I've been doing even deeper work on the last year or so, it's interesting, as I'm running and going back to running again, my resting heart rate is getting lower than what it did when I was super fit. So I'm curious and have a suspicion it's as I'm releasing some of the deeper emotional patterns that it's meaning there's more energy for my body to run, or more energy for my immune system to heal itself. I'm certainly feeling very well and lots of energy. And it's curious, as I've learned the techniques that I teach, when you start to go into subtler levels, you realize that, wow, there's ways that you're missing some of these sensations really easily, because the obvious ones, big fears, big anxieties, they're really obvious to sit with and to notice and to pick up. But when they're more subtle, fleeting, it can be very easy to miss or squash them down. And I suspect I'm picking up a few more of those, and I'm seeing the difference within my physiology. And that's how it's supposed to work. As we change the physiology, as we help our body get out of the chronic stress state, get it back into where it's supposed to be. Like we're supposed to be most of the time living and functioning from the balance. I want to say balance nervous system. I won't get into technical terms. The rest and digest side is often what it's called for simplicity. We're meant to be there most of the time because that is where our digestive system works, our reproductive system works best, of course. It still works when you're chronic stress, but it's not as well. And our immune system. So it's our immune system that it's fixing everything. It's not just illnesses, stress, emotions that all tie into the immune system. Because when I was doing my marathons, if I was too emotional or something else happening in my life, it changed my ability to run fast. My whole body would just tense and slow down. So emotions impact our immune system. They're a defense. And what is the immune system but a defense against the bugs and viruses and things that are not us? And emotions are these things that people don't want to talk about, don't want to feel. It's very uncomfortable. But what are they? What's their purpose? When we're living in alignment and health, we're usually feeling joy and peace, happiness, calm, all these regenerative emotions, heartfelt emotions, they're often called. But when we're stressed, chronically stressed, we get the sadness, the anger, the depressed, the fear. And again, none of these are wrong. We need them. They all have their purpose. But living there most of the day actually changes how your body's working, not just in the muscles, but all the cells. It affects how the organs work. It actually affects the blood flow to the brain. It affects how we're able to think. So learning to get more in harmony with ourselves and our body not only gives us better health, helps us think better, clearer, access intuition. And intuition is a really amazing skill. It helps us know what our next steps are. It helps us to solve problems. A lot of times when people would come to me in the clinic, it'd be just, fix me, fix me, fix me. They didn't want to change. But if you really want to access the healing mechanism, you have to change something if you're in chronic fight or flight. One exercise, one massage, one stretch isn't going to do that. It may do, good luck if it does. But many times I would find people chronically stressed and just wanting an exercise or need to do something to get rid of it. And I would tell them, got to get to the underlying root cause, which is how the body is changing and reacting to the chronic fight or flight or freeze response. It's changing the adrenaline, the cortisol levels, which changes the muscle tension. And if your muscles are being tense from every cell in the body, because cortisol is a hormone that goes to every cell in your body, everything is tensed up. And so any massage or relaxation technique is going to be very temporary. There's a lot of skills and techniques that people talk about today. There's many, see on YouTube. A lot of them are good. A lot of them are being taught, especially like vagus nerve resetting. So the polyvagal theory talks about fight, flight, freeze, health state, and how that affects us, and looks at it from the vagus nerve perspective, which is one of the nerves that is the biggest nerve that's influencing the parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of our autonomic nervous system, which is part of how we keep in balance or not. Those techniques, it's the same as nervous system regulation, vagus nerve activation, very similar principles, all aiming to balance the nervous system. There's many techniques to do that as well. Breath work can help set the difference for the nervous system as well. And nearly all techniques start with some low, slow breathing to help set the nervous system. So there's many different tools. Some are effective at different times. It's about just finding which one works for you. And sometimes techniques aren't meant to be used. This one only works and must only be worked. Sometimes you find a tool and then it doesn't work anymore, then you find another one. And we're always evolving and changing. They sometimes just allow access deeper into our system. I'm particularly interested in how consciousness and intention influence us. That's why I often do and finish with the breath meditation and visualization that I do, because it allows us to use intention, visualization, the breath, but also by visualizing, accessing, and feeling what we want to create is often how we solve our problems and get to another level. When people are stuck in the fix me, solve the problem, what's wrong with me, they're going around in circles. The answer is never there. When you ask what's wrong, you're only ever going to find out more things what's wrong. If you find that you ask a different question, like, what do I need to do to get healthy? What do I need to do to have my body feel better? And then listening to the body, seeing what shows up. Sometimes it can be a magazine article or a newspaper article. You hear something on television or someone talks to you about something or gives you a tip. So I often see signs on buses that are very synchronistic. When we ask the question about what our body needs and what would be happen if we could actually solve the problem, how would we feel? So again, you've got to know where you're going. Most people are stuck with where they are. And often they don't even see the solution because they're so stuck in where they are. So just asking the question of, what does my body need? What do I need to do to get to where I want to go? It's the same with marathon running. What did I need to do to run a marathon? You don't do it in one day, especially if you've never run before. You've got to plan and practice and do the steps that lead up to it. But you've got to know where you want to go. So if you have a health issue or some other life issue, it's like, how do you know when you solved it? How do you know when you fixed it? So the question is, what does my body need or what does my life need so I can get to whatever it is that would make my heart sing? You know, if I'm in a position that I need a new home, like, where would be the best place for me to live where I just feel safe and in harmony and at peace and a great community? You can, again, you don't have to know exactly what it looks like. It's just what will it feel like when you achieve it? Because what's that feeling in your body? These feelings in our body and the emotions are really important, because it doesn't matter what you achieve. If it's what matches your heart, you're going to feel that joy. And sometimes we think we want something, but when we get it, it doesn't last long with something else. So it may not have been what we were truly wanting in our heart. But if we're going from our true essence, what we truly desire, if we sit and imagine what it would feel like if we got there, then it doesn't matter what shows up on the outer. It's a match. And we're usually going to like what happens on the outside. If something on the outside is showing up, is lighting us up and making us feel truly aligned with who we are, guarantee it's going to be pretty good on the outside, and maybe even better than what you could even have imagined. All right. So as usual, I finish off with just my meditation visualization process. I highly recommend you sit down or lie down. Doing any other activities, especially when you're trying to tune into your body or tune into yourself, we can access different levels of consciousness, different dimensions of consciousness. So that can be dangerous if you're driving or swimming or doing some other activity. And it's meant to be a mindfulness process or a presencing process, keeping you in the present moment. So I invite you to just sit down or lie down. Just feel supported by the chair or the bed or the couch. Put the ground into the physical and just really feel supported by the physical world. Just feel your feet on the floor. You can move your toes. Feel how your feet connect to the ground. And imagine you've got roots growing from the soles of your feet into the center of the earth to really ground you into the physical. Really ground into the earth. Now I invite you to imagine you've got a cord extending from the center of your head, extending right out to the center of the universe. Now you're connected to the universe and to the center of the earth. I invite you just to pay attention to all the space around you that seems so empty, but it's not. It fills up the entire universe. That contains all the quantum information, wisdom, in infinite amounts. As you breathe in, just imagine you're breathing in all the wisdom and knowledge that you need for your body and your life. And as you breathe out, you're letting go of all you no longer need. As you breathe in, filling up every cell in your body with all the infinite wisdom and information from the universe just for you, and letting go as you breathe out of everything you no longer need. I invite you to tune in to your body. Are there any sensations you're noticing in your body? Are they pleasant or unpleasant sensations? Be curious and non-judgmental. Remember, you're sitting or lying, you're safe, you're just looking within to feel what's going on inside. If it gets too uncomfortable, sometimes these sensations can be very overwhelming, just open your eyes and focus on some sounds or something in the room that you can look at to ground yourself back into the moment. Just notice these sensations, but you should be curious about the unpleasant ones. You're not trying to change them or judge them or analyze them. You're just witnessing and noticing them, acknowledging them. And as you notice and acknowledge these unpleasant sensations, they may change, they may get bigger, they may get smaller. And sometimes they don't change at all. There is no right or wrong. It's just what they're doing in your body right now. And just notice what happens. Sometimes it changes into another sensation. Sometimes that one gets better and something else pops up somewhere else. Just be curious. The sensations in our body can often be the old unprocessed emotions, especially unpleasant. And this is often how we let them go and transmute them and transform them into peace, just by witnessing them with curiosity and non-judgment. If you'd like to place your hand over your heart, I invite you to take 3 low, slow breaths in and out through your heart. Again, filling up every cell in your body with peace and love and light. 3 low, slow breaths in and out through the heart. Now I'm going to get into stage 3 of this exercise. As you're breathing in and out through your heart, I want you to feel what it would feel like if you were living the life of your dreams. If the biggest problem in your life had been solved, how would you feel? If you could live according to your heart and to your highest dreams and inspiration, how would that feel? You don't have to know exactly what it looks like in the outer world. Just noticing what it would feel like if you could live the life that you could only dream about. Where your biggest problems are just magically disintegrated. How much joy would you feel? How much peace would you feel? Would you feel expansive and open and light? Just notice what it would feel like. How would you treat other people if your problems have been solved and you had all you needed and you were living the life of your dreams? How much compassion would you have for yourself and for others now? How kind would you be to yourself and others when all your problems had morphed into nothing, and you've now just got your true essence and the life that you've always dreamed of? What would you create? Where would you live? Who would be in your life with you? Just feel what it would feel like. You don't have to have the exact pictures in your mind. If they show up, that's fine. Just the feeling is the most important thing. This is our heart and our inspiration talking to us. And the more we can feel this feeling of what it would feel like to live from this place, the more likely we are to find it. But it's a practice and a habit like everything else. I invite you just to notice your body generally. Give it a bit of a wiggle. Feel your feet on the floor. Move your hands. And you can open your eyes. If you noticed any changes from the start to the end, maybe you feel a bit lighter, Maybe you've had an insight or an inspiration. Sometimes some unpleasant memories or emotions come up. That means they're coming up to be processed. Sometimes you might need a bit of extra assistance or someone else to give you a bit more space as they transmute. Or repeating this exercise again. Anyway, if you've had any changes, let me know. And I will see you next week. Have a good week.